The right offer doesn't need a sales call to close it. And the reason I know this, because over the last 6 months, I've been able to sell 24 people into my $4,200 program with 0 sales calls and 0 phone time at all. Just over 100 grand in cash, closed entirely by the offer itself. And so in the next 14 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through the 4 facets of an offer that closes itself and help you build yours so you can ditch the sales calls too. Also, by the way, if you've been getting people interested in your offer all the way right to the very end until you actually deliver it to them and they ghost you, and it's one of the most frustrating things about your day-to-day in your business, this one's for you. Most coaches don't even believe that a high ticket, in my instance, $4,200 sale can close by itself without a call. And you've likely been told the opposite. High ticket means high touch, and it needs a call because you've got to overcome objections. You've got to convince and persuade and build rapport and get to know the person. So you spend your week on Zoom dragging prospects across the line to get them all the way to the very end where they go, I'll think about it. That's not selling. It's just grinding with a different flavor. A real offer is built to do the convincing for you before your buyer ever even sparks the conversation with you. The promise is sharp enough that they know exactly what they're going to get and why they should do it. The mechanism is clear enough that they trust that you'll deliver what you say you're going to. The protection is strong enough that they find out they can't lose. And the urgency is real enough that they decide now, not tomorrow. When all 4 of those things are working beautifully together, the offer closes itself. Your buyer reads it, imagines themselves having it, and messages you asking, how do I join up? How do I pay? No call, no pitch, no pressure. Right, let's get into it. Here's what broken offers actually look like. There are 3 patterns, and most of you guys are running at least 2 of them based on all the offers that I've ever seen. And just to be clear, if you are running 2 or maybe even 3 out of these 3, you didn't get here because you're being lazy. You've been at this for a couple of years. You've been posting consistently. You've signed some people and you've built a program that actually delivers results. When people stick with it and your conversion isn't ever stuck because of your effort. It's stuck because of 3 structural things about how your offer is actually designed and put together. And once you see them, it's going to be pretty obvious and you might get the shits with me, but that's okay because we're going to fix it. So the first one is a vague promise. The offer reads like transform your business or become the best version of you. It's soft, it's aspirational, and it's beige. And the buyer reads it and nods, but never actually buys. A vague promise gives the buyer nothing to anchor to, no outcome that they can measure, no time frame they can hold you to, and no specific transformation that they can imagine before they've ever done the thing. So even when they like you, they can't commit. There's nothing concrete to actually commit to. The second biggest problem is the info stack. Now, this one comes out of the thinking that if I cram more into my program, I'll make the offer feel bigger. And so you add more modules, you add a Slack channel, you add a content library, you add weekly bonus trainings, and your offer doc just ends up ballooning completely into this massive monstrosity. And in an AI world where every framework that you teach is for free on ChatGPT in 30 seconds or less, you've stacked the one thing that's getting cheaper by the day. Now you're going to be competing with free. Your offer doesn't feel bigger. It feels like it's competing with free. And the third one is the always open door. And it means that you can join your program any day, anytime. There's no cap on the amount of people in it. There's no deadline. There's no reason to buy this week or next quarter. This is the one that most coaches miss, and they don't even realize that it's broken because it feels respectful. But the truth is it's the opposite. Open enrollment trains your buyers. Them deciding to work with you doesn't really matter because the program is going to be there forever. They'll come back to it eventually. And I'll get you guys to tell me which day on the calendar is eventually. There isn't, right? So eventually never arrives. And all 3 of these fail for the exact same reason. And it's because your offer was built around what's inside it, which sounds counterintuitive, but let's get to it. The offer that converts in 2026 is built around what makes saying yes easy or obvious, and 2 completely different design jobs. Most coaches are doing the first one, wondering why interested people stall, And most of you guys wouldn't have even thought about the second one. So here's the shift that I want you to start to think about. The old way of doing things is out of the Russell Brunson era, or if you're new to this, the Hormozi era, the irresistible offer. Stack as much stuff as you can humanly possibly fit, information, modules, bonuses, templates, lifetime access, and pile it on so thick that they feel stupid saying no. And that model worked in 2017, but it doesn't work in 2026 for two reasons. One, info has been commoditized by AI. If that's the case, your buyer can get a lot of that stuff free, quick, easy, and sharp. And stacking more information doesn't make the offer more valuable anymore, at least. It makes it feel like a website. And the second one is that stacking more info gives your buyer reasons to procrastinate. It allows them to say, I don't have time for all that right now. I'll come back when things slow down. I bet you've heard that before. And overwhelm is the thing that nukes conversions. It's a bug of offers, not a feature. The new way is the exact opposite, where you don't stack more in, you take friction. That's meant to be a minus sign in the green, by the way, if you're just confused. The offer that converts now is built around 4 facets: the promise, the mechanism, the pull, and the protection. And each job of that specific mechanism is to remove a reason your buyer would have to say no. When all 4 of them work together really well, the offer doesn't feel bigger, it feels obvious. And that's a huge difference. And the framework that I use for this is called the diamond. It actually comes from a mentor of mine, Taki. So thanks to him for letting me use this. All 4 of those things working together makes an offer brilliant. And most of your guys' offers are just using one of them, while the other 3 sides of the diamond are completely cloudy. And if the buyer can't look at it and quite see the shine, they just go, bup, bup, next. And I'm sure that's happening to some of you guys right now. We're going to get into each aspect of the diamond and how you can rebuild your offer with it in a second, but let me tell you about how I figured out the importance of offers. Years ago, I had a mentor of mine called Sam, and one day Sam posted a testimonial from one of his clients that had made $7,800 in a single week. And that broke my fucking brain, because at the time I was selling coaching for $50 a week on a recurring membership. It was a standard online coaching package, the way that most coaches sold it back then for fitness coaching. And I did the math on that, and I thought to myself, 7,800 divided by 50, I would have to sell 156 spots in a week to match that, which with the way I worked back then, jumping on phone calls meant, based on close rates, meant 1,500 calls minimum in 7 days. And that would just be pre-qualifying, discovery, closing, follow-up, the whole 9 yards. Physically impossible if you want to eat food, take a shit, and sleep. It literally, mathematically impossible. Just not happening. And it annoyed me so much, pissed me off so much, that I just went to him and I'm like, dude, you got to teach me how to do this, because I'm fucking doing my brain in over here. And I had to figure out what I was missing. Here's what I found out. Sam's client didn't sell 156 of anything that week. He sold 3 of one specific offer. And the offer wasn't $50 a week, obviously. It was packages that were put together in either 16 weeks or 20 weeks for one specific type of avatar, available once a month. So people had to actually buy when the window opened. And it was $1,800 or $2,000 up front, whatever it was, to make the $7,800 figure. And that was only from 3 or 4 people in a single week, which back when I was doing calls was amazing, because I'd only have to do like 20 to get 3 or 4 people to the end of the conversion system. And the thing that really annoyed me is when I implemented it, it was the same skill set, the same coaching ability, the same delivery quality, but the offer changed, and that was the difference between the 2 outcomes. It wasn't sales, it was the offer architecture, because I was putting in a lot of work and getting fuck all results, or at least it wasn't as close to Sam's other client. And that's when I realized the entire game is all about offers. So it's not your skill, it's not your following, it's not your content, it's the shape of what you're selling. And when I went through that rebuild stage all the way back then, that's when I realized how important this is. And mine's got even better since those 5 years ago, based on what I'm about to teach you. So for you guys watching this right now, it's going to be the same you underneath, the same coaching quality, but a completely different conversion result. And right now, with content that converts, I'm currently turning away more applications than we accept. Next intake is going to be the second consecutive sellout with none of this shit. And that's what offer architecture does. It's not bigger, it's brighter. Going with the diamond theme, you know. So let's get into the diamond specifically. There are 4 facets. We've got promise, mechanism, we've got pull, and we have protection. The promise is what they're buying. It's the clear, measurable, objective outcome. The mechanism is how it's delivered, and which is the consulting and the contact, not the information, and the curriculum. The pull is why they're buying today, not next quarter, and the real urgency and scarcity. And the protection piece is what removes the downside. So the guarantees, the payment option, and the risk reversal. Each of these facets kills a specific reason your buyer would have to say no. The promise kills the, I don't actually know what I'm buying type of thing. Excuse me. The mechanism kills, I can get this for free on YouTube. The pull is the, I'll come back to this later. And the protection kills, what if this doesn't work for me? Which are all genuine and valid questions from a prospect to you guys. Most of you guys have one of these facets really polished, maybe 2, but the others are cloudy, and your buyer can sense it without being able to name it. It's just a feeling that they get. Get all of them working, and your offer goes from feeling like a pitch that's gross to an obvious yes. Quick aside before I walk you through each one of these, if you want to see exactly what my offer doc looks like with all 4 of these facets running together on the page, this is what the start of it looks like. And it's pretty in depth, so I don't want to read it to you guys right now and waste a bunch of your time. You can actually just look at it below. It's going to be the first link in the description. So you can pull it up alongside this video if you want and read through the specific sections as I define what they are. So you'll see exactly how the diamond stacks on a real offer that's working right now. Cool, let's get into it. So facet number 1 is the promise. And most coaches' promise is aspirational and vague. And it's things like grow your business, transform your life, level up. It's not a promise. It's a feeling, and feelings don't get bought. A real promise has 3 things. It has clarity, so your buyer knows exactly what they're getting. It is measurable, so your buyer can tell whether the promise has actually been delivered or not. And the last one is objective. It's not a vibe, but it's a number or an outcome. So for example, hit 10K a month consistently in the next 90 days, or lose 18% body fat for your next fight camp, sign 5 clients in the next 60 days without sales calls. Read those and your buyer instantly knows what they're paying for. They can imagine themselves having it, and they know exactly how to measure whether you did or did not deliver. Quick example, Alex is a combat sports dietitian inside the case study group that I run. And his promise originally was help fighters with a smooth weight cut, something like that. And it sounds okay, it sounds professional, but it means absolutely nothing. So we rebuilt it, rewrote it, and we changed it to seamlessly cut up to 18% of your body weight during fight camp while feeling sharp and performing at your best. Weight make guarantee or you don't pay. Read those 2 side by side and then tell me which one's the better one. Because the first one is beige and ambiguous. The second one is a sales weapon. And it's the same coach, it's the same program, it's the same actual outcome, but it's a completely different conversion result. And one more thing on promises just before I move on. Don't only sell the end result. It's a mistake that I see all of the time. You got to sell the concrete transformation inside the first 30, 60, 90 days. The give me momentum before you ask me to commit for the long haul win. Because buyers don't sign 12-month commitments based on what will happen in month 12. It's actually too far away for most people. They sign based on what will happen in month 1, and that's the thing that kicks them into gear and gets them going and proves the validity of what you're doing. So if you promise both, you anchor the small one in time so it feels imminent, and the long one is the transformation overall. And I always get pushback on this. They say, yeah, but Josh, my niche is harder to measure. Like, I'm a confidence coach or whatever. I can't put a number on confidence. Okay, then put a number on behaviors. Hold direct eye contact in 3 difficult conversations a week for the next 30 days. Speak up in your next leadership meetings without rehearsing, because confidence is invisible, but behavior isn't. So measure the behavior and the feeling will automatically follow. The way that you can test this straight away is read it to someone who knows nothing about your business, a family or a friend or whoever you're catching up with. And within 5 seconds, can they tell you exactly what your buyer's getting, by when, and how they'll know if it was delivered. If no, it's beige, it sucks, do it again, rewrite it sharper. Facet number 2 is the mechanism. And most coaches build their offer around content, modules, a library, a Slack channel, lifetime access, thinking that more equals value, which we know that it doesn't. Your buyer in 2026 doesn't want more content, they want more contact. And the shift is from selling curriculum to selling consulting. From here's everything I know staring at you in a portal to here's me and you working on the specific problem that you have in real time based on my expertise. Because again, information has been commoditized by AI. The thing that hasn't is implementation. The what do I do next given my specific situation part? That's what your buyer is actually paying for. So your mechanism, the thing that they're buying access to, should be weighted accordingly. It should be looking like this: 90% of this, 10% content, or more, as we're calling it. Content shouldn't be replaced, but it should support the implementation. Inside the case study group, my mechanism is 2 hours a week of working directly on members' specific bottlenecks. And the content library still exists, obviously, but nobody buys for that. They buy for the contact. And this is also where bonuses fit, by the way. Most coaches treat bonuses like more content. They pretend to be Oprah Winfrey with all the information. They keep giving shit out. Don't do that. Bonuses should accelerate implementation, not give your buyer more to consume. So a swipe file they can use the day they sign up, a done-for-you template that saves them a week of work, a one-to-one onboarding call before the program starts. These are bonuses, and they make implementation faster, not their to-do list bigger. The thing I get pushback with this is, oh yeah, but my program's already built. I can't rip up all the modules and spend another 6 months making it again. You don't have to. You just need to stop leading with those. Like the offer doc opens with the consulting when you build it properly, and the library shows up later. And to support that, you'll get access to this framework library when you need to reference something. Same modules, different priority in the offer itself. Your buyer's eye lands on the contact, not the content. And when that happens, conversion is simple and easy. Third facet is the pull. And most coaches run all day their open slather. Anyone can join at any time with any week with no deadline, no cap, no reason to act today instead of next quarter. The thinking is being open feels like you're doing them a favor, and that pushy is gross. So you go hands off, no pressure. But open enrollment isn't that. It just trains your buyers that the decision doesn't matter. The program will be here forever and they'll eventually get to it, but eventually never happens. So the pull is the urgency and the scarcity piece, which has to be real, not fake. Because real urgency is an actual deadline, like a specific date when doors close because of how the program is structured. This intake closes Friday because the program starts on Monday. And onboarding is high touch and you need to be there so I can make sure that I deliver you the result. Real scarcity is an actual cap, a specific number of spots because of how much attention you can provide each and every single person. For me specifically, I only run 10 spots per intake because that's the max that I can actively work with at 2 hours a week. Because a lot of you guys make the mistake in thinking that leads are your problem, and you think that, oh, if I just had 500 members come in the door next week, all my problems would be solved. No, all of your problems would be 10x'd because you can't deliver to 500 people. It's just physically impossible. So put a real cap on it. There is a limited number of people you can work with to a high level, and your number will be different from mine. Mine's 10 a month. And so I keep it at that. And if you get in, you get in. And if you don't, you don't. Both of those, though, are real and they're both verifiable. They're both anchored to how the program actually runs, not made up to push a sale and be manipulative, like the ones that you see on the internet where they're like, oh yeah, I'm just looking for 5 people, or I've got 5 spots, or some other bullshit like that. And they just slap limited spots on anything and it's never actually limited. Your buyers can sense that. They can figure it out. They've seen the same offer with every other limited spots person. And if they see it every month for the last 6 months, then they're not stupid. They know it's fake. And fake scarcity destroys trust way faster than no scarcity at all. So it's better to have urgency over none, but it's better to have no urgency than fake urgency. Because once your buyer reads the fakeness, your offer's cooked and it's never coming back. The thing I get pushed back with this is, well, I need money coming in every month. How do I run intakes if that's the case? That's a delivery model question, not an offer question. But specifically, you can run monthly cohorts and still have real deadlines. The deadline isn't doors permanently closed. It's this specific cohort closes on the 1st of the month. So you need to be in by the 29th to onboard properly. That way it's real. It's verifiable. It pulls every month. And without it, your buyers just stall forever in fucking Neverland. And you sit there wondering why a perfectly good program isn't converting. The 4th facet is protection. Most coaches put all the risk on the buyer, pay full price up front, hope the program works. And if it doesn't, well, that's their problem. Maybe a partial refund if they email and ask nicely. And your buyer feels it whether they articulate it to themselves or not. What if this doesn't work out for me is one of the biggest questions that you have to answer for them, because otherwise they're going to come up with their own answer. What if I'm the broken one? What if I spend $3,000 and end up in the same place that I am right now? The fear is the actual reason interested leads stall, because especially the ones who've paid for a couple of things before, they've gone through a handful of programs and they didn't deliver because most programs are shit. So the protection facet flips the entire dynamic where you wear the risk and the buyer doesn't. To illustrate this one specifically, got my little seesaw here. You have to have an understanding of how to shift risk versus reward. The biggest thing that I've seen do this is guarantees. So if it doesn't work for me, what happens? That's where you can start to shift it to the reward side of things by assuming all of the risk on the coach's side rather than the buyer's side. And this makes a tremendous difference in the conversion process, especially if you want to dump the fucking phone calls. It also helps if you put bonuses, pulls, and mechanisms, which is essentially what we've been speaking about for the last couple of minutes. And you'll see this when you run through your own offer and rebuild it, because if you have any of these not working, the risk is going to be more tilted towards this side, and they're just not going to pursue forwards. Like a vague promise defending on a stranger to deliver on the offer, the seesaw tips towards no. And that's why you need the protection facet. So you can shift all of the weight down towards the reward side where you absorb the risk so that your buyer's side becomes weightless, essentially. The reward side almost stays the exact same. It's just that you're taking the risk away from them. And that's not manipulation, by the way. It's not some sexy persuasion tactic. It's just the offer design. And the risk reversal stack works in 2 different layers. Layer 1 is the headline guarantee, where if you've read the doc down below, mine is a 12-month buyback period. So if you show up, you do the work, you don't double your investment in 12 months, I just buy your spot back and refund the full amount. So the buyer can read that and their fear evaporates. Their hesitation goes away. The only way they lose money is if they don't show up, which means the risk of buying is now lower than the risk of not buying. And Layer number 2 is the safety net guarantee. So the second guesses, the skeptics. And mine is an optional 60-day love it or leave it. At the very front of the program, if you've shown up, you've done the work, and you genuinely don't feel like this is for you in your first 60 days, well, then you can walk away, no questions asked. And that kills the what if I get in here and hate it objection. The last piece of this, I should not forget to put this in, is the payment options. Not the irresistible offer where you pay in full and save $500 trick, but real options. You got monthly for people that are resistant for cash flow reasons. And then you've got upfront for people that do genuinely want to save money by paying a little bit less month over month, all in one go. And most buyers drop out at the checkout because there's no option. It's just the one thing. And so if you give them just a simple option between monthly and upfront, you're good to go. And the thing that I get pushback with this is that, like, oh, don't you just attract a bunch of guarantee abusers? In 5 years of running buyback guarantees across multiple different businesses, I've had less than 1% buyers that have ever used it. And the people who would abuse it using this guarantee actually self-select out because the guarantee comes with a condition. Like, you show up and do the work and then you get the guarantee, right? The people who buy are the people who plan to do the work. And buyers who plan to do the work don't need to abuse guarantees because they're getting the result that you promised based on your delivery or your mechanism. The guarantee converts the people on the fence. It doesn't drain you with refund hunters. So if you're thinking that, it's just not the case. Okay, quick recap. Your interested leads aren't stalling because they're not interested in what you deliver. They're stalling because your offer isn't built to make saying yes easy. The diamond and the 4 facets, the promise, the clear, measurable objective, that your buyer reads it once and knows exactly what they're about to buy. The mechanism, the consulting and the coaching, not the content and the curriculum that AI can't deliver because it doesn't have your experience. The pull, which is the real deadline and the real cap anchored to how the program actually runs on a monthly basis. And the protection, I always fuck that up because it feels weird to do that. The protection, which is the risk reversal stack, so that they don't wear the risk, you do. And that's all 4 facets. And if you get them firing, your offer doesn't feel bigger, it feels obvious. And obvious is what gets bought, even if you don't want to jump on a call, which you don't have to. Right, now you've got your offer architecture handled and the right humans are saying yes and getting into your program, which is great. Congratulations, good for you. The next piece is the first 7 days after they sign. And that's where most coaches lose the clients that they just work so hard to win. And so for that, I've got a 3-step onboarding on-ramp. Links in the description underneath the doc. And watch that one next so that you can solve that first 7 days after you actually sell them. Thanks for sticking with me today, and I'll catch you next week.